Welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we cut through the bullshit
Greggy,
so we can get naked.
you can't say that.
Why not? How would you say it then?
Well, maybe more like, welcome to Undressing Intimacy, where we undress emotionally so we can undress physically.
That's exactly what I said. Not sure what the problem is. Welcome to episode number
52! We did it! We did it! We did it! Hooray!
1 year of podcast. Can you believe it? I never thought it was possible. Did not think so. So we want to celebrate, and we've been talking about this for a couple of weeks, but today is the day. If you go back to our
like
podcast,
this background soundtrack.
yeah, maybe we need to work on our background soundtrack.
We need a little victory song, a victory lap.
We're going to do. So we're going to have a contest. Inside the notes or descriptions of that podcast is a link. Click on that link and it will take you to a form. You just need to put your email address, and we'd love some comments about past podcasts and future podcast ideas. Not required, but we'd love it. And submit it, and you'll be entered into a drawing, a random drawing, where we will pick one lucky winner. And what will they win, babe?
They will win 3 coaching sessions with either of us, and they can choose you, mix of both, whatever works. Whether you're a current client or a past client that we haven't seen in a while, or one that is completely new and you just want to try out coaching and see what it's all about. So you will get those 3 sessions. You can use them as a couple. You can use them individually. You can kind of break them up however you want. For example, if your husband would want to meet with Greg and the wife wants to meet with me, and then you want to meet together, we can do all sorts of things like that.
Very, very exciting. On September 30th, we will announce who wins. So go get your name put in there into the drawing, and we will pull that. The deadline will be Friday the 26th to get your name in there, and we will announce it on our podcast that we broadcast on the 30th. So we can't wait. We appreciate it. It's very exciting for us to be able to do this. Now, a year ago, my greatest fear of doing a podcast is that we would run out of topics to talk about. Like, how the hell are we going to talk for 52 times for 45 minutes or more about things? That's going to be a problem. And guess what?
It's not a problem.
And the reason why is because I keep on effing it up.
No, that's not the reason why. No, it's not.
I keep this content because I keep messing it up.
No.
In all seriousness, we spent a lot of time thinking what should we do for our special 52nd anniversary podcast? We should go back and list our top favorite podcasts.
Which I still think we should do.
We might be able to do it.
That we have the opportunity to do.
We might have the opportunity to do it. But if you go look through the pattern of our podcast, which I do a lot, the very interesting thing is our second podcast ever that talks about male and female desires and the differences is the number 1 podcast. And the interesting thing about it to me is that when we first started, we would only get half a dozen or so downloads a week. Mm-hmm. And now we're in hundreds of downloads in a week, and they still haven't caught up to that one episode. So the good news to me is people are going back to it, but it's very, very interesting to them. And if you pick out the most popular ones, it really is where we face these real life discussions about the differences between each other as couples and how we handle them, because it's real and it's raw. And to me, our best podcasts have come when it's real and it's raw. So I invited Amy this morning because there's something that's real and raw.
Wait, keeping it real and raw. You invited me like 10 minutes ago.
Well, it's still this morning. 10 minutes ago, I said, Amy, I got an idea for our podcast.
Because I've been pitching ideas to you.
And I told her, I said, we need to be real and raw, and we need to talk about the experience we had in the last 24, 48 hours. And she stopped breathing.
I did not stop breathing, but I maybe said, are you sure?
As soon as she went, oh, I knew exactly what we should do. So let me tee this up. Our marriage
is human.
27 years ago, there's been 2 major issues that we've been dealing with for 27 years. One, we've talked about a lot on this podcast. Mm-hmm. the differences in our sexual desires and needs and wants and how that works into a relationship. We talked about we were good friends, we could work together, we raised kids well. It was that sexuality that was just really, really a struggle. And you've heard for 52 episodes about that.
Mm-hmm.
Today, I'm going to break it to you. Number 2. And I don't know if it's 1A and B or number 2. They're pretty darn close. And I know you'll all be shocked because I'm sure none of you have this issue in your marriage. So you can write in or call us and tell us how to fix it because you're all good at this and we just suck at it.
Wait a minute.
I suck at it. Amy's really good at it.
No, that's not what I meant.
That's what she was looking for.
That's not why I said, wait a minute. No. I was saying, hey, like this is the two biggest struggles
this is the normal
in marriage.
thing. I was saying with tongue in cheek, I was saying that.
Period. So
the
I
second
would say
struggle
we're normal.
That we've always had is money.
Finances.
Amy will always remind me, and I will never forget because she'll remind me and I won't forget, the very first budget we ever did. Now, remember,
I made the budget.
Well, that's how I wasn't going to go. I was going to give you the credit. Like, hold on. Don't get all wound up here. Both of us did not come from a very savvy financial background as our family.
Neither of us had savvy.
No, none of us. We didn't have good examples of how to be financially stable.
Both our parents went through
financial struggles.
Financial struggles.
Keep it there.
Yeah, we'll keep it there.
We'll keep it there for the.
And we were very aware.
We'll protect the guilty. We'll keep it there.
No, we'll protect the normal. We were very aware of what it meant to go without.
Yep. And so Amy came to us, to Amy when we were married. She's like, I put this budget together and we're going to have a budget.
No, this was when we were engaged. Were we engaged?
No, we were married by this time.
No. This was engagement.
I don't know. Maybe engaged.
We were apartment shopping.
She wanted to not. She didn't. She maybe. Oh, that's right. We were looking at apartments.
We were engaged.
That's right, we're engaged. Okay.
We were apartment shopping.
So we're engaged. She's like, I have a budget. We need to talk about this. And I'm like, okay. And we went through this budget, and my response was, and folks, don't take this as a good response. Here's a bad example of how you respond when your dear, beautiful new bride-to-be comes to you with a budget. What? If we can't live on $35,000 a year, we can't live on anything. I can't believe you can't say we can't have all that stuff.
Wait, so let me tee this up just a little bit differently.
Why? That's how.
No, that's true. That's what you said. But the reason I brought a budget was because we lived in Southern California. Mm-hmm. Rents were very expensive there. Mm-hmm. We were both working, but still living with our parents. So neither of us were like independent yet.
Right.
And so we were transitioning from living with parents that still paid, obviously rent, electricity, some basic things, to figuring out how much we could afford for apartment. So I brought together our salaries. I brought together the different bills to try and figure out what we could afford for a rent.
Babe, you did amazing. I'm not just saying that. I was grateful that you did that now. Looking back, it was a little shock to my system. I'd never had anything like that.
Because I think at that point, you wanted to just be like, I can provide and we will get whatever apartment we want. We're not going to make this about what's in the budget. I'm going to be a provider.
That is so true. And that's really an important part. We'll probably double down on that one here in the podcast later, but that's so true. The stipulations or the expectations that are put on a young man as he goes into marriage is exactly that. Like if I can't afford to have what you need, that means I'm failing. Mm-hmm. I'm clearly a failure. And so anything, instead of it coming across to me like, hey, we just need to be wise and we can work this out together and we can collaborate and cooperate, it was an attack straight on my role as a husband.
To be husband, your role and your capacity to provide. Yep. And from my standpoint, I was trying to make sure we didn't follow in the pattern of our parents, which was overspending and trying to stretch too far.
Yeah. I think you definitely had an anxiety of not having enough.
Oh, for sure. Because it was a reality.
So there was that probably extreme side. Now, I didn't have enough either, but I just took out credit cards and was fine to go in debt. And that was problematic too. But from that day until 2 days ago, we still have these conversations around budgets. Now it's gotten better and it's quite interesting. I think over the years, we have swapped back and forth One of us will do the bills and the budget, and the other one will be supposed to be participating as a input. And then we'll swap. Those swaps haven't been like easy or nice. They've usually come with hostile takeovers or anxiety. Like, I can't do this anymore. So it's not like we're like, oh, it's your turn. Oh, it's your turn. It's like, I can't do it anymore. You take it. Or it's like, I'm not getting anything. I'm taking it back. So it's never been a nice cooperation as we pass it back and forth. And we've done really well. We have.
You mean financially,
Yeah,
or in these
just
conversations?
no, not these conversations. We suck at them, and we'll tell you about the recent one that we suck at. But we suck at talking about it. But what I say is we both got on the same page about budgets, and we've done really well. We got a little probably too far in depth with Dave Ramsey. Dave Ramsey was
Oh,
one
this
of our
was
heroes,
like,
and
oh, maybe
15 years
10
into it,
years
we went a
ago.
little nuts and maybe have scarred our children for life.
They were
About
like
that.
afraid to spend anything. So
Yeah,
we,
so
we,
we might have gone
we went a
too far
little
with it.
overboard, but I think the overboard was trying to overcompensate
Yeah,
for our
overcompensates.
experiences.
So throughout the years, we've gotten much better. We can do budgets. We've done well for ourselves. We've been able to support a family very, very, very well. And it's because we've been smart. We've done smart things. And I have to give all credit to Amy for that, taking that step early on and saying, hey, we're going to do this, because it was so foreign to me. I didn't even know how to do it. And then putting up with my shit afterwards, because it's not like I complied nicely. It was a pain. But we've gotten much better.
Definitely. We've gotten like eons and eons and eons better, where I would say the majority of these conversations around money are pretty peaceful.
They're very peaceful.
But they weren't. And let's go back a little bit. Full disclosure. Yes, I was the one that tended to do the budget and tended to plan, because I am more of just like the detail person. However, when I was doing that, it was fraught with anxiety.
Mhm.
And so it wasn't like, hey, look, here's how things will work. Just like in our first budget, when I brought it to him, the reason he was so triggered was I said, hey, look, we don't have enough money to afford even the cheapest apartment in rent. And so often what I was bringing in my budgeting was, hey, we don't have enough money.
I think we need to stop a little bit there, because this is where it's going to get raw. There was anxiety on both sides. So even when there was money, there wasn't enough money. There was both, right? So yes, there wasn't enough to do some other things that maybe I always wanted to do or you wanted to do, but very rarely, if ever, we didn't have enough for the basic needs of what we needed. I don't ever remember doing that, right? And so it was a dichotomy between the two of us, and this is where it gets raw and real.
Right, because money isn't about numbers.
No, that's what I want to say. It has nothing to do about numbers. That's what I was going to get to. And even when we go through what happened just 24 hours ago, my reality now, it has nothing to do about numbers.
Nothing.
Money
is about what you fear, what you hope for, what you feel like you're missing out on, what you feel entitled to, what you're afraid of, what you're scared of,
Yep.
How much certainty or security you desire, how much freedom you desire. Money has much deeper meanings than numbers on a page.
And as you even say that out loud, it sounds a heck of a lot of what we've been talking about, sexual intimacy.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not about the actual physical act of sex itself. It's about the meanings behind it.
Mm-hmm.
And even the quote you said that I think is ingenious and should be coined so that someone doesn't steal it. That arousal or that eros energy just amplifies the underlying things that are happening in your life, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're coming at it from a very stable place and you're centered, you can have that sexual desire amplify that security. Mm-hmm. If you're coming at it from a very needy and takey way, there's
a new word.
Made a word. You can label that on me. Takey way. Then it comes. That's how it amplifies that, right?
Yeah.
And I think it's exactly the same way with money. Dave Ramsey would always say it. Money doesn't make you good or bad. It just makes a stingy bad person worse and a good person better, right?
He would say something like it It brings out more of what you are.
Yeah, it amplifies what you are. And I think
And so those
that's the same
numbers
thing.
on a page, although I was doing all the budgets and like bringing all the things, the numbers were amplifying my anxiety about recreating what I had grown up with, which was not enough
Right.
and scarcity and really like we don't have food and where are we going to get food from? And so some of the basic needs were not met even with well-intentioned and loving parents.
Yep. And to me, it was still amplifying that first thing that it amplified from the very beginning is you're a failure
Mm-hmm.
because you can't provide for your family.
Mm-hmm.
And if you would just be able to provide more, then we wouldn't be in this spot. The truth is, it doesn't matter how much money I make. There's always going to be gives and takes, right? And that's just the truth of it. But again, it has nothing to do with numbers. It was what was amplifying in my mind was that I'm a failure.
Yes. So you had the I'm a failure. I had the looking for security. There's not enough. Always trying to run numbers to make the numbers create security in me. And numbers are just numbers.
Right.
They don't create security.
So let's fast forward 20 some odd years, 26 years or so from going back and forth, and we've made it. And I said we've done fine for ourselves.
Wait. Before we fast forward too far, let's talk
Oh,
about.
you want to dig in somewhere else?
No. I'm just gonna say how things got a little bit better.
I'm wrong.
No. You're not wrong. Like they got a little better as I realized I was bringing anxiousness to these conversations, and like I would literally in our budget conversations have to stop and take some breaths and be like, we have enough. We have everything we need. We just need to manage or account for what is. And you got better at not making it be about your providing. And I started to understand more that what money meant to me was security and what money meant to you was freedom. And so we started to get more understanding around these meanings. We did start to create a lot more space for you to have more freedom, for me to also plan for security. And you tended to do more of the big, like overarching long-term budget things, like long-term planning, where I have tended to be more in like the day-to-day and the weekly and the monthly, and then we'd kind of collaborate together.
Right. No, you're right. I'm glad you stopped us and put it back because it did get a lot better. And it correlated with this time when we'd gone through the roughest patch in our marriage and we're coming out the other side and trying to figure out our sexuality, to be honest. Because again, it wasn't just a sexuality, it was understanding and being curious about how each other saw things and the perspectives we had for each other and diving into that and understanding that this wasn't about numbers. And it took 24 years or however long to figure that out. So as we came along in our journey of figuring out we are different sexually and that's okay, we started to figure out we are different when it comes to money and that's okay too.
And we're even different how we like write it out. I would bring you my little paper
Oh my
scraps
gosh.
of numbers.
I had this beautiful spreadsheet that calculates everything and does everything. And she's like, here's all the things I wrote out. I'm like, what the? It's on a spreadsheet.
So I
And
learned.
no. This is the best part. So then she would do a spreadsheet, but she wouldn't use it like it's supposed to be used. She'd put like the description and the number in the same cell. You're like, what are you doing?
No, I fixed that now. But now we've learned to talk spreadsheet. I've learned to talk spreadsheet. You've always talked spreadsheet.
Ooh, that sounds sexy. Don't turn me on here in front of everybody.
What I'm saying is we learned to find a way to communicate to each other, because I would bring you my language and you would bring me yours, and I'd be like, I don't get this. And you'd be like, I don't get this.
Holy cow, I don't understand that.
And so we kind of learned more about each other. And sometimes you take my little paper scraps and put them in your spreadsheet.
Let's make this work.
And then we went through several different software systems that managed where you could.
They're still not a good one.
You say that I use them all wrong, but
they don't work.
But bless your heart, you learned to figure out my system that you say they were never meant to be used for.
Right.
And so there's been a lot of like grace and learning.
Yes.
I now am pretty good with Excel sheets and running things like that. And you were pretty good at looking at my budgeting software and going, let me just clear this up. So we use Excel for the long term for like big goals. We'll sit down and plan out like the whole year at a glance. And that's where all the Excel spreadsheets come in. And then we take those and input them into like a more daily, weekly budgeting thing. And so we learn to have both present where we can speak each other's language.
Right. And it works, and it has worked. And that's why there was a surprise thing.
There's always
And
surprises.
there's always surprise. And I should have known better, because Amy mentioned a few weeks ago that she's like, yeah, we need to talk about the budget. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that's fine. And the craziest part is like, and this is where I think it's going to get interesting. This is where it's really going to get interesting. Don't know how to, and so maybe you can shout through your stereo speakers and I can hear you while you're listening to this. Hold on to myself and how I feel in that moment when the person you care and love for has a very, very different perspective about your intents and what you have said in the past. And this is where it all came undone for us. Again, not about the numbers. It had nothing to do with numbers. I had said something in the past that, and maybe I said the exact words. I don't remember saying the exact words, but Amy is 100% sure that I said in the past, I didn't ever want to talk about the budget and I didn't care about it. That we made enough money that we didn't need one, and just deal with it. That's what she says I said. And I don't. The problem is I focused on that instead of the real root of the conversation. And we'll get to what I think that is now, and I'll see if I've gotten to it. It's taken me a lot of contemplating and thoughts and a little torture on myself because I went some bad places. But I think I finally got to a place where I understand the underlying of it. But I don't know how you don't get into an argumentative place, because what it ended up is Amy's like, I can't deal with this because you don't even admit that you said that. And I said, I can't deal with this because I didn't say that. And what do you do then? Coach?
Again, I am not here to coach you, but I would even tee this up so differently.
Oh, cool. Tee it up. So that's my version. Let's hear Amy's version.
So my version is I had made several bids towards Greg. Hey, can we look at this? Hey, I'd like to talk about this. Hey, when you have a chance, there's something that's come up. Made several bids. And
I
those,
didn't jump at them.
no, you didn't jump at them
And that spoke volumes.
at all. In fact, they were pretty shut down, which is, I want to say, really new, because really in the past for a long time, you have been like, oh, okay, I'm free tomorrow. Or when do you want to do it? Let's do it Thursday. Like, you really have responded to this. I want to give you a lot of credit for that.
I was waiting for you to initiate the budget.
I was trying.
You were supposed to, come and say, I want you budget, me and you.
And so I feel like I had brought several bids forward, and those bids were turned away.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, okay, not a good time. Okay, so another bid, another bid. Hey, I'd like to talk about this, or this event's coming up. Can we, kind of make a financial plan around it too? And they were consistently being turned down or walked away from. And so I decided, okay, I need to approach this more directly other than just a bid. And so I thought a lot about how to do that. I thought about what my part was in it. I thought about where I was creating a pattern that wasn't helpful. And I brought that. I said, hey, here's what I'm doing. Here's what's not working for that I'm doing. This is my part. And I would really love to collaborate with you because I'm stuck. And I think what you heard was, I don't know, you kind of got stuck on one comment and then you kept pulling towards that. And I was like, no, I'm not actually here to put any blame on you. I am actually saying, hey, I need some help collaborating again. And I kept trying to bring it back to that. And you kept going back to, I didn't say this. I didn't say that. Like, okay.
I think if you had brought it to me just the way you brought it to me, I would have been fine with it. Because it's different for me when you say, hey, I've been putting these bids out and you've not been catching them or ignoring them. And I could go, oh, okay, now let me go back and look at all the bids that I either intentionally or I don't think I intentionally did it, but I missed these bids. Fair enough. But the way that was brought to me was you told me that you didn't care about the budget and that you made enough money that you didn't need a budget. Those are the exact words that you used to me. And that's where I got stuck on it because because to me that eventually, and maybe goes back to the problem with it means what it shouldn't mean to me. That means that I'm a complete jackass because I told you to just go flip and do it. I don't care. It's not my job. I don't have anything to do with this. And that's where I got defensive because I had to go back. And that's where it really took me to some dark places. Like, am I really that way? Am I really so engrossed in myself that I think I'm above doing budget with you, that I think that we make enough money that don't need to do this and it's just your job to do it? That's what I was hearing. And that's why it was so dark and I couldn't go anywhere else because it was that. I feel like if it was brought to me as, hey, I've been putting these bids out here and you haven't been listening. So I'm trying to be more direct with you. This is what I need. I think I could have got there quicker.
I'm going to maybe contest that
Okay.
because I think what was happening was your own narrative in your mind. And yes, I have my own narratives,
Mm-hmm.
but they exposed yours. And so you were struggling again with that, like almost when I brought you the budget at the beginning and you were like, I'm not a good provider.
Yep.
And that's what this means. And I kept trying to bring it back like, hey, I'm actually not here talking to you. Like, you wanted to really like chew on that.
I don't know if you didn't, and maybe that's the case. I'm not gonna argue that fact. Maybe that's what I stuck on, but that was literally what I was told and heard. Let me take that back. That's literally what I heard.
Yeah.
And that's why I was stuck on that because it meant so much to what I valued most in the last several years in our relationship. That I do collaborate, that I am a partner, that I do want to work with you. And so that was a direct attack on that. The problem with it, I think, is that it didn't make any sense because it's not about numbers. And that's why it even made my brain hurt because I'm like, we're a better place than we've ever been before. Like we've never been here. The budget has never been as easy to do. And yeah, maybe we're not being as tight on some of these things, but like literally okay. And so it didn't make sense there. And let me get to where I kind of gotten to, and maybe I'm right or wrong. It wasn't about the numbers. It was about the need to be collaborated with in that partnership. And I had left because I hadn't got into those bids. It wasn't about, I'm going to put dollars here or put dollars there. We're going to spend money here, spend money there. You felt like you were alone and having to deal with it and that you didn't have a partner to partnership.
Yes. And I had in ways created that. And so I was letting you know, I see what I've done that has like created this, where I was going silent and just not really speaking up. And meaning that in the budget, you say, we need to do this, we need this, and be like, okay, Greg needs this. And then anything that I wanted was going silent. So I was doing one of my old patterns where I was just accommodating. I didn't want it to return to resentment. And I was going quiet. And what I wanted was to bring you back in so that we could collaborate and partner again.
So that was so easy to say that.
Oh, I did. Oh, I did. You didn't hear it, but I did.
Did not. I'm going to go to the instant replay button. What is that?
That is exactly how I started the entire conversation with that.
Anyways, this is what I want to say. This is why we're doing this, because it is raw. It is real. We're still working through this. It didn't come easy. It caused some chaos that we have not had in a very long time.
Yeah. We've actually been pretty, until like the last couple months. I think it was just maybe before summer when this started to fall off.
Yeah.
And so I was like, hey, can we get back to doing that again? Because we work so much better together.
Yeah.
In our separate ways, but still together.
I think it was dirty on both sides.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. And knowing that that's the case is on both sides. When I get back down to like, oh, here's the core of it. This is what she's reaching out for. Then it's so much easier for me to comprehend and want to step in. But there's all that bullshit in the middle that happened She thinks I saw it wrong. I think she said it wrong. And we could probably argue the rest of our lives about that. And that's what we used to spend time doing is
Mm-hmm.
who's right, who's wrong. And
Mm-hmm.
I found myself in that space again, which really I hated.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't been in that hate space for a very, very long time
Did
but
you
wait
say
a minute.
hate space or head space? Which one did you
I
say?
said head space, but I made it come out Florida.
It sounded like
Hate
hate
space.
space.
Oh, no hatred here. I hadn't been in that headspace in a very, very long time, and it was scary. Actually, it scared me, to be honest with you. I'm like, wow, I haven't thought these thoughts for a long time.
Mhm. Our emotional check-in that night was real.
I think we've been practicing.
Good thing.
We almost didn't make it through.
It was
It was
very
the
raw,
real
y'all.
deal. But what I'm grateful for, just as anything else, and I don't want to say this because I don't think we're any better or anything else, but we've practiced this. These are the kinds of things that we would spiral for weeks.
Yeah.
Weeks.
And you would go farther in your narrative. I would go
I would
farther
push
in
further.
mine.
I'd be angry. You would retreat. You would say,
Yes.
you don't understand. You're a jackass. And you would just go away.
I would never say you were a
Not
jackass.
out loud.
Never.
And then you, the night of our emotional check-in, you said, you're my jackass.
Well, wait, you called yourself that.
That's a direct quote now, is
That
it
is
not?
a direct quote. But you said, you have to put it in the correct context.
Oh, did I take it out of context? I don't think I
Yes.
did.
You said, I'm sorry for being a jackass. And I said, but you're my jackass and I love you.
Uh-huh. So she collaborated with me and called me a jackass. Can you believe that? How mean is that? She should have validated me and said, you're not a jackass. What are you talking about? Just kidding. Yeah. Yeah. And I guess I want to say this because there's never a finish line, or you're never done. And I hope you didn't hear that as like, oh, you're never done. It should be more like, thank goodness we're never done, because we get a chance over and over and over again to grow and to learn and to get closer and to enjoy each other and to say, oh my goodness, I messed up and I want to get better at this and I want to understand you. Is it fun? No, it's painful.
Yes.
It was very painful.
Very uncomfortable.
Very uncomfortable.
But I will say we did handle the conflict better.
Much better.
We still did our emotional check-in.
Yep.
We still did our daily ritual in the morning, which did bring us back together. And thank heaven for some of those rituals that not only have we learned to do it better in the moment, but we're learning better to come back.
Right. And this is why I pound this in with my clients over and over again. Some days may mean nothing other than I'm doing this daily check-in. There may not be big ahas.
Or this daily ritual, cuddle, hug, love.
There may not be a big moment, but again, it's the exercise of doing it. So when we have this major catastrophe, which
you will have conflicts and you will unravel and you will do your thing that you do.
You'll still mess it up, but you'll get to a point where you can, like that night, I couldn't even say anything. It was my turn to do the emotional check-in and I just couldn't say it because every time I went to go open my mouth, I went back to my old places where I would have lashed out. And I said, I can't go there, but I couldn't get out of my head anywhere else. I was like in a tortured place, to be honest with you. And Amy finally said, well, it looks like you just don't want to do this. We're doing it tomorrow. And I'm like, I can't leave there either. So I took a deep breath and I was honest to where I was at. And I spoke what I needed to speak. But it was so hard not for me to go back to that argumentative, you're wrong, I'm right. I can't believe you would do this to me.
That's your like defense mechanism.
Yeah. When I am wounded and in the corner, watch out. I will lash out with deadly strikes.
Yes, indeed.
It's my protective mode. Not physical. But
not physical.
I can emotionally and mentally go at it.
Yes.
So that's where I was at. And it was very much things I hadn't felt in probably years. It came back. All around some silly numbers. that really aren't about the silly numbers.
No.
And I want to say this, and I want to be raw and true with you, because I hope it doesn't come across like, oh, well, we figured it out and we have it all fixed. We have some tools in the toolbox we never had before, which allows us to dig out of the mess we make faster. But we still make the mess. Happens all the time. And they're usually not as big as we used to make it, but we made a good one. And it was so, the contrast was so huge because we'd been so close, like more connected that week than we probably have ever been in our marriage, to be honest with you. Completely connected, completely happy. We'd just come back from the horses. We'd ridden the day before. I was standing there we're washing our horses, and I'm like we're living the dream. Like, pinch me. And we talked about how we're living the dream. This is amazing. Before this whole started, we were walking back. I had finished riding. Amy had come out to be with me. We chatted, and we were walking back from the barn back into our yard, where we have the most amazing setup in the world, where we bought the house behind the barn where I board my horse. And so literally someone else can feed and take care of him and muck the stalls when I'm gone. But we walk through a gate and he's right there. And even this week, the horse that Amy's riding pretty much became her horse without us having to financially back that, which is fabulous because she loves that horse too.
I do love Dr. Pepper.
So it was literally coming from like heaven, and within 5 minutes I was in hell. And it was crazy, the stark contrast that we'd gone through in a very short period of time.
It is kind of like the rug being pulled out from under you.
It unwound fast. And it's true. You get stuck on these certain things. You know, Amy was, for sure, she was saying the right thing. She thought about it. She was bringing it to me the right way. I was for sure she was telling me something else. And when you get to a point where you think you're right and the dialogue stops and you stand your ground to fight, that's when trouble starts.
And we pretty much just said, okay, we need to take a break. I love you. I love you.
I'm going in the house.
We need to cool down here and we'll come back, which is always okay.
And it wasn't even pretty when we came back.
But it got prettier.
It took a while.
And then the next morning,
it got much better.
We collaborated and were able to have the discussion, and it's repaired.
It is. I think I still, I've been working through in my mind until this very moment. I haven't brought up to you where I feel like the bottom line was you felt like you need the lack of collaboration and you wanted that collaboration. So I've still been working through some of those things, but in general, we'd gotten over the major hump, and I was no longer, I don't know about anyone else, but this is what happens. If there's something that's so raw and emotional inside you, if you even let your mind go there, it floods you with so many emotions you don't know how to deal with them. In the past, I wouldn't deal with them. I would just push them down and hide them, and then they would come out sideways in ways I didn't like. We talk about this all the time. And I still, in that moment, couldn't. I couldn't deal with emotions. When I sat there in silence for 15, 20 minutes, when it was my turn, Amy had already gone.
And the emotional
check-in. I literally kept trying to get to my mind to that emotional place. And as soon as my mind got there, the flood of emotions were so scary to me that I couldn't deal with them. And so I was trying my best to go back to all the things I'd learned to start dealing with them one at a time, but it was just too much. It was too flooded.
And I didn't say it like in a judgmental way.
No, you were sincere when you said, hey, we'll talk in the morning.
Like I could see your struggle and I was waiting patiently, allowing you space. I wasn't like, well, Sue's like, you're not going to do it. Like there was no,
it wasn't.
I wasn't bitter. I was genuinely trying to say, I can see your struggle and I'm not going to pressure you to like have to speak now. Like take the space.
And so I guess I learned something in that moment that I hadn't really realized I learned. And now you're saying it, I think I learned it, is that even though I still had that flood of emotions that I could not deal with at that moment, because every time I went there, it was just so overwhelming, that if I took a deep breath and instead of lashing out, which is what I usually do to cover those emotions up and not deal with them, did I have them under control? No, not at all. I didn't go to bed that night with them in control. I had a hard time sleeping that night. but it was important for me to try to voice what I could and deal with what I could with you in the moment to show that I was engaged, not because I was going to get through them. I didn't want to go to bed that night saying I didn't engage you.
Mm.
And that's why it was important. So I feel like I did a fairly good job finally when I
Oh,
gathered myself.
absolutely. I absolutely respect everything that you shared.
But I guess I say that when I went to go open my mouth and talk, I still was in that high energy,
High
high
activation.
emotional activation place. I hadn't resolved them, but just the act of speaking and working through them in that manner helped me get to a place where it was better. I still had a lot to work through that night, a lot, but I think it's important for me that one, I'm glad I didn't just allow it to lash out, that I stopped and I didn't respond.
Mhm.
And I tried my hardest to process through them as best as I could by myself. But I'm glad there was a moment when you said, "Hey, I'm willing to wait." It's almost like everything I talk about, it's almost like sexual bids we talk about, right? Everything
Mhm.
else. I can't right now, but how about later?
Mhm.
When you had said, I can't, I see you can't right now, but how about later? It gave me the freedom and space to say, I'm going to try my darndest, even though this is not going to be good
Mhm.
or perfect. And it really
It's
did
such
give me
a
space.
role reversal because normally I would not be the one to bring up these conversations. So my learning in this is to always keep speaking and keep practicing using my voice because I am the one who my defense mechanism is to retreat and go quiet. And I would absolutely retreat and go quiet to avoid this type of a conversation.
Yeah.
And so my learning was stay centered, hold on to yourself, allow yourself to like experience this pain of using your voice and also still make room for you.
Right. Yeah. That you knew that it was going to be painful to use my voice, and that's why you avoided it. But it's worth going through that pain to get to the other side.
Yeah. And well, yes, it is.
You hesitated.
No,
She
it
says, no, it's not.
no,
You're
it's
foolish.
worth it, but I mean it's always such an act of insane courage. Like
But it's the same.
I
It's the
mean,
exact same thing in everything else. Like if you reach out, you don't want to be rejected.
yes. And I really felt rejected that night. I really felt shut down by your words and I had to practice holding on to myself in the face of that. And I had to keep centering myself. And so it's kind of like the reverse of sexual intimacy where
Yeah.
the bids were reversed, the rejection was reversed, the pattern was a little reversed, but
Yep. Dialogue and curiosity always wins. I failed to go be curious, to be honest with you, because I got defensive. As soon as I got defensive and put up the wall, the curiosity went away. And I only resolved this emotional issue when I was curious enough to say, what is really going on? What is this really about? Those bids to do the budget had nothing to do with numbers. Nothing. Nothing to do with money, finances. It was a bid to collaborate. Come be a partner with me. I feel like I'm alone.
mm-hmm.
And I think if I would have heard that in that way that it was done, it would have been easy for me to say, well, hell yeah, you're not alone. Let me go do this. But I had put up my own walls and I was hearing my own thing. Curiosity had been shut down. That's what I wasn't hearing. It reminds me of your client that it's not about the bird. It's not about the birds.
When you're making a bid, yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
so the story is, wife looking out the window at the bird and saying, "Hey, honey, look at this bird," and he's like, "Ah, I don't like birds. I'm not interested." Like, it's not about the bird.
Bird. It's about being
It's about being
engaged and interested
interested.
in your spouse.
Yes, and why that interests them.
Yeah. Why are you concerned about the budget? Why do you need to talk about it? Not because I have come to a conclusion it's just fine. Look at we're in a better position we've never been. I'd stand on my own in conclusion.
Which
So I
I
shut
did
down.
start by saying, "Hey, we are in a
I know,
better
but that was
position."
all the bids before. I'd never heard that. I just was confused at why you were coming at me this way. And then if I would have just not put my own, it's the thing that's raw in your marriage, the thing that when you're exposed, you know it's going to bring pain, and that's what marriage does. that you try to avoid. And I must have been avoiding it because I felt that way instead of engaging in those bids. I don't consciously can remember dissing you on the bids or stepping away. But I'm not saying that didn't happen. I'm saying it's because I wasn't in tune into what you were really asking for. And so when you come to a conclusion that this is dumb, we're fine. When I came to that conclusion on my own, that was what was wrong, because it wasn't about how much money was in the bank at all.
And I never even like asked about money. It was something much differently, which what I'm saying is often when we get into conflict, what the conflict is asking us to face is our own fearful narratives.
Yeah. Yes.
And so when we're often in conflict, we're actually fighting against our own fearful narrative,
Our own insecurities.
and our own insecurities. And the conflict is asking you to look at those, to move past them, to rewrite them, to update them, whatever word you want to use, so that they don't become a barrier to your connection.
Right. Absolutely. In the end, the reminder is stay engaged, stay open, stay willing to be exposed, stay be willing to be able to hear, to process. And even when it all goes wrong and it goes to hell in a handbasket, which it did, that's when you need to double down on those things you've been working on about staying engaged and having a dialogue. You know, political viewpoints aside, in this world of this last week, we've seen what happens when dialogue shuts down, and what happens in society. It's the same way in marriage. Things get escalated and don't get worked out. And unfortunately, in society, that's come to violence. But in our case, it got us to a space where we hadn't been in a long time, because we'd shut down the real dialogue and listening and gone back to barricading myself in and protecting myself. And that brought us nothing.
It is really, what's really difficult in listening is it asks you to confront yourself. And are you willing to accept yourself, to be able to open enough to accept another, their viewpoints, their emotions, their perspectives, their experiences? And so listening is an act of self-confrontation, but yet we usually attack the other. And so it is asking you to accept some part of yourself and make room for another. And that's where a differentiated couple or family or community or society can be willing enough to accept themselves so that they can accept another.
Our society is nowhere near differentiated, I'll tell you that much. Not even close.
But it happens one person at a time.
It happens one person at a time. And that is the true definition of intimacy. Amy just defined intimacy. Intimacy is when you can be a whole person and stand by yourself and be okay with that, and realize that you have an impact and want to desire to understand what the impact is with others and be able to see through their own eyes. Me giving in and just saying, you're totally right, would not have solved this problem either, right?
No.
It was being able to stand on my own and say, what are you really trying to say? And that's the definition of intimacy. And when we talk about undressing intimacy, we often talk about in the sexual sense, but it's in all senses. Undressing is like getting, as I say in the very beginning of them, get rid of the bullshit, right?
We all have a lot of those narratives that are absolute BS.
Now, my favorite thing is so we can get naked, but there's all kinds of things. So we can have conversations, so that we can feel close, so that we can enjoy each other's company, so that we can have a tight family, so that we can succeed in the day-to-day things. There's all those other things. Now, naked is the number one priority, but there's all those other things that go with it, right? So this is truly how we undress our intimacy, is being able to stay engaged and be curious and listen and confront ourselves and the things that we fear the most, even when we don't realize that we're protecting ourselves.
Amen, bro.
So, was it as bad as you thought it was going to be?
For sure.
Torture. I'm in trouble the rest of the day.
No, you are, please.
On the couch tonight. Just kidding. I hope you appreciate it. It's not easy for us to be raw and really vulnerable at this point. We're telling you our greatest weaknesses. We exposed ourselves in the most the most true sense of the word right now. But to me, I think it's what is important. If we could have more of these dialogues with other couples and with other people and realize that we all have these places that need to be exposed because we're not perfect and that we struggle, I think the world will be a better place. And that's what we hope for. And so we hope that this dialogue helped one person. I don't know, help me. I feel better.
Oh, do you feel good? I feel good. We feel good.
All right. We both feel good. There's 2 people. So we help 2 people. We're good. If it helps none of you, then I wish it did, but it didn't.
Oh, brother.
But anyway, don't forget, go into the notes, sign up for that contest. We would love to coach you all. And we can't wait to give away those 3. I tried to say 4 last time, and Amy corrected me. I tried to give away more. 3 free sessions. Oh, don't forget to do
Here
that.
comes your generosity again.
Sucky generosity. Gotta stop doing that. It's kind of strange how it is, even though, yeah, and we won't go into that. I was just trying to say, like, maybe it is my freedom and fun that I like to be generous with it too, like over the top.
You do.
Anyways, for another topic, for another time. Have a great
To be
week.
continued.
Yeah, because I told you, I get content for the podcast because I keep messing it up.
Endless amounts of
Yeah,
content.
that's right. I keep messing it up for y'all so we can have something
No,
to
it's
talk
not about you messing it up. It's about us learning together.
Right. All right. Until next time.
Keep undressing your intimacy and making your budgets.
Good luck. Bye-bye.